listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. I wanted to do a quick episode on practice projects because this is something that can help a lot of creators feel more confident in their skills as a conscious creator, as well as in the system, in the universe itself, for delivering on its part of the deal. And it can also help identify what your best practice is for successful manifesting. So all I'm talking about here is for people who have a story about themselves, like, I'm not a very good creator. I've never actually successfully done it. Or, if you're telling any version that is handicapping your effectiveness at creating your own reality, you're going to want to tell a different version because it can only be what you say, what you think, what you know and believe. So if you believe that you're not good at this, that's what it's going to be. That part of your story has to shift if you want to get really good at this stuff, or even partly good at this stuff. And one of the best ways to do that is to prove it to yourself. I mean, if you could just say the words and eventually say them enough to find some truth in them, if we repeat anything enough, we're going to start to believe it. I just laughed at some examples of that happening on the U.S. Political stage. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you can just change the story of yourself that, I'm actually really good at this manifesting stuff. And eventually you can become so. But some people find it easier if they actually have some proof of that to believe that story. It can speed up their ability to embrace knowing themselves as an effective creator. And sometimes the best way to create that proof is to have a practice, not just a practice project, a string of consecutive practice projects. I'll talk about my favorite way to have creators engage that. Look, where we run into trouble with a lot of our manifesting desires is that we have attachment to them. It's a big deal. It feels important. It's, got to happen soon, or we're making it a big hairy deal in some form or fashion. And that is not helpful energy for allowing what we want to come to fruition. That's why when we engage a practice project, I really like the idea of picking something that is enjoyable or delightful or pleasant in some form or fashion, but doesn't really matter that much. We don't want it to be a big deal. If it's too important, it has a negative charge on it, and that can slow it up from coming to fruition. And we want to have the opposite experience. We want to have some practice banging out a variety of things over and over and over again, really fast, really simple, really easy. So choosing something to create that is delightful enough that you can have some positive energy for it, but your well-being isn't dependent on it. That's what I think makes a great subject for a practice project. And I like to have a couple of those going at the same time, just because if we only have one, that in itself sometimes creates a charge. Like we got this focus, like, I'm doing this one thing. And we make it important just because it's a practice, it's an exercise, and we sometimes get a negative charge on it that way. But if we have two or three going at the same time, it's kind of hard to get that charge going on all three of them. It's just a way to be lighter about it, a little more hootless, a little more, so many things manifest when we're not trying too hard. So I think having like 2 or 3 practice projects going at a time makes it easier for them to unfold because we're not giving any one item too much attention. Does that make sense? So, we have actually been doing this at GVU for a while at Good Vibe University, where we used to do this as a treasure hunt. It was a law of attraction treasure hunt. But earlier this year, we started experimenting with bingo cards where we'd have, like a bingo card, and there was a different, you could consider it a practice project in every square. And whoever got bingo first was the winner for the however long it took. And I pulled up an old bingo card to give you some ideas of things that might make a good practice project for you. But really what makes the best practice project is something that you can have some positive energy behind, but doesn't feel important or like a big deal. So, for example, if you're someone who's been wanting to manifest new love or a big financial windfall or dropping 100 pounds or something, if you've been working on that for a long time, do not choose anything related to that for your practice project. You want something fresh and fun and new and easy, something that's easy to believe in. We're only using this as a way to prove to ourselves that we're good at this manifesting stuff, because it really is easy when we let it be. And sometimes it's easier to prove that on the stuff that we don't care about too much. So, remember the movie, was it The Secret? Yeah, I think it was The Secret, when they talked about, I don't remember who it was, suggested like intending to manifest a free cup of coffee. And Abraham all the time talks about the story when they were having that really difficult client, and they talked about butterflies and blue glass and I don't know, something else, like they were trying to activate a vibration to show this client how quickly it can come to fruition. And after Esther hung up from the call, she went out with Jerry and was just like blown away by all these manifestations of what she had just been talking about with her client. That's what we're looking for with our practice project. Something simple and easy. So from this old bingo card that I'm looking at, I actually like to have a combination of things for my practice projects, meaning experiences as well as tangible things. So like the experience of deja vu, that could be fun, or like a dream come true, or a mythical creature. That could be a fun one, or an award received, or a pleasant surprise. Hello, hot date. Who wouldn't have fun manifesting a hot date? Or a shooting star, or a childhood friend, or a happy secret. I've also got on here, a miracle of science, a cat purr, financial windfall. Don't do that if your big thing is manifesting money. You cannot do financial windfall if you've been hung up on money. That makes a terrible practice project. A full rainbow, a simple pleasure, a heroic act, divine intervention, a light bulb moment, uncontrolled laughter, perfect solution, a time warp. I got a variety of these, new species, personal best. You can make up whatever sounds like fun to you, anything that has some meaning to you. Not enough meaning to make it important to have any attachment to it, but just something that you feel strongly enough about to get some good energy flowing around. Maybe it's like a particular song or a phrase. I don't know. It could be a movie star. You could just focus on a celebrity that you really enjoy and watch how that shows up in your world. So once you have a topic, and frankly, like I said, I like to have 2 or 3 topics at a time, not just one. And I think it's helpful to write these down because, believe it or not, it's easy to forget these because they're not a big deal and they actually happen really well when they are forgettable. So I like the idea of writing them down. Not so that you have it posted up on the mirror to remind yourself constantly, but just so that you'll check back in a couple days and remember, oh, that actually totally happened. I was on my lunch break and so was talking about such and such, and it was exactly what I had named for my practice project, or however it's going to happen. So once you identify 2 or 3, and if your intuition tells you to do it different, then do. But like when we play it at GB, we've got 5 by 5, that's 25. What I'm trying to say is, so you identify what your practice project is, and then you just focus on it just for maybe a half a minute. I'm not even going to say for a minute, maybe a half a minute. Just imagine what it feels like. Oh, perfect solution. Yeah, I know what that feels like. Uncontrolled laughter. You just tune into it long enough to get it activated. Abraham says that's 17 seconds of pure positive thought. If you're just thinking on it for a half a minute or a minute or so, I feel like that's enough to get things going. And then forget about it. Let it go. Let it come to you. Let universe do the work to bring this to you. Don't be checking your watch every hour going, how long is this going to take? Or am I supposed to be meditating on this? Or, should I go read No, easy. A light touch goes a long way. I want to emphasize that just because I think a lot of times the reason we think it's hard for us to deliberately create what we want is because we're making it too hard. We're making it too big a deal. If you remember that, there was a study. Oh, wow. What study was this? It was the Oh my gosh, it was the Changing the Past study. I think Lynn McTaggart reviewed this in her book, The Intention Experiment. But it was a study where they had asked the participants, the volunteers, to intend to change the computer output. The computer had been programmed to produce output that was 50% zeros and 50% ones. And they asked the study volunteers to intend to alter the output. They actually did it in a couple of ways, like intend them to alter the output that's coming. And sometimes they asked them to alter the output that's already been created. That was really, really cool. I can't remember this girl, but so they had a variety of people in there doing it. And the girl who was most effective at it, guess what her process was? Because they had some people in there who were like, fingers to their temples, focusing, a little frown going there, like, focusing so hard. And some who would, making it hard. And then there was the girl who just came in. They told her what she was asked to do, and she was like, okay, cool. And she just read a magazine and ate a green apple. That was the girl who was most effective at altering the output. She wasn't trying hard at all. Let's be like that girl. It works really well. That's why so many people who are talking about why is it the stuff that I don't care about manifests real easy and the stuff that really matters takes so long. It's because you've got a charge on it. If you treated it just the same way you treat that easy stuff, it would happen just as easily. The difference here being that with the practice project, we're picking something fresh and new. It's not like for 3 years, we've been lamenting that this still hasn't happened. We don't have that kind of energy behind it. But this can be really helpful for, like I said, building your confidence in your ability to manifest something out of the blue without having to orchestrate it yourself. When you tune into your practice project and then just let it go and watch it unfold. And I can't tell you how many amazing stories I've heard from clients who played with this. And it can happen in minutes, in hours, in days. But it's really cool to see how universe will present it to you. It's always, not always, but often different than we would have expected. I think that's kind of fun to experience. But what happens when we experience that is we develop more trust in our ability to do this and in trusting the system to do its part and in knowing we don't have to go take a bunch of action to do it. We don't have to make this hard work. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to orchestrate it ourselves. So there's a variety of benefits of playing with practice projects so you can remind yourself how the system works best. And once you've had a string of successes, you can look back and see okay, what about that worked so well for me? I mean, because maybe you'll find that actually, yes, if I read my list, a couple times throughout the week, then I remember it. That actually works better than when I totally forget about it, because then I totally forget about it and it manifests and I didn't even give myself credit for it. Or maybe you'll find that actually, it works really well if I get a mental picture of it versus just say the word of it or whatever. You'll notice something about your practice that works better for you that you can then replicate for the things that do matter. Because now you're going to have something to compare it to. Like when you manifested that full rainbow really easily versus this thing like you're manifesting clients or book sales or something like that, and that feels trickier. You have something to compare it against now. Like, how is it that I did this other thing so effortlessly? How did I feel? What was my process? And you can replicate that more than you had been otherwise with the thing that matters more. You can get hootless about it, more lighthearted, have a lighter touch around it, feel easier about it. It's going to help with the things that do matter, is what I'm saying, when you get really good at these practice projects. So that's what I wanted to share. I don't know if I've talked about this before or not, but I couldn't remember. So I thought if I can't remember, maybe you can't either. So I thought it was worth doing a quick episode on the joy of practice projects. I would love, love, love to hear from you. If you play with this, I love those stories. I never get tired of hearing how cool the universe is in responding to the new vibrations that we activate. So I hope you have fun with it. Thanks for listening, everyone.